Barbara.
Hello.
Streaming as well.
We are having technical difficulties with our YouTube account, so we're not streaming. We will upload later.
Okay, perfect. So it is 6:01. We are calling this meeting to order. Those who choose to can stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. You can stay seated in silent meditation.
Allegiance to
The United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So the first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the January regular monthly business meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Thanks, Barbara. Do we have a second? Okay, I saw Bethany pop up first. So Bethany, is there any corrections or changes? All in favor of approving the minutes from January? Wonderful. Oh, and Tony is an abstention. Oh, Tony and Bill going to be abstention. So 1, 2, 3, we have enough. 4, 5. Yes, we do. Okay, perfect. Do we have any public input?
Handful from the
Oh, okay,
library.
great.
From our comment box. The exhibit of local history items in the lobby is informative and attractive. Have walked by it several times and still see something new each time. So kudos to our staff for the local history exhibit. I really appreciate how organized and cozy the library is. Continue on all this great work. The remodeled building gives so much more room and space to study. Little kids really like the play area and the books are amazing. And the coloring too, smiley face. So,
There's no more public input at this time. We will move on to the personnel actions. So we have 2 personnel actions: to accept the appointment of Jenna Wickman as full-time library assistant PPSY effective 1/21/26, and to accept the appointment of Alexandra Gibson, temporary librarian 1 PPSA effective 1/21/26. Do I have a motion to approve those? Thank you, Joe. Is there a second? Bill, great. Any questions? Okay, all in favor of approving the personnel actions?
Aye.
George, over to you for the treasurer's report.
All right, we'll start with the statement of revenue, expenses, and changes in that position. And in looking at it, you'll notice that line 6, all other revenue, very close to budget for the month. Still fairly favorable for the year. And there was a couple of changes in that, as we've talked about before. Our ability to issue passports went away. And there was also a one-time amount that we got in as an insurance dividend for about $4,700. So the year-to-date is favorable, but I expect that we'll run closer to budget as the year goes on. We continue to have favorable salaries and wages. Fringe benefits were just slightly unfavorable. Library materials, when I first looked at it, I thought that we were just catching up because we're still very favorable for the year. But we did spend about $15,176 for our annual Upper Hudson ERO contribution, which is for electronic resource. ERO. But we do expect that library materials usually is weighted more towards the end of the year. And I was looking at miscellaneous. Most of the items, we continue to be favorable, particularly on a year-to-date basis. We talked that insurance probably will not reverse itself. It will continue with slightly unfavorable variances. Miscellaneous was a little bit unfavorable, $1,860. That's mostly human resource expenses. It's flex fees, some other things, some background checks. And I thought it was a huge coincidence that we spent exactly $1,860 for capital EAP services. And that doesn't mean that that's the variance, but it is something that we spend once a year, so it is kind of front-loaded. So we probably should expect to see favorable variances as we go through the year, and by the end of the year, that will reverse. But I just wanted to look at that because typically you shouldn't have a lot of things in miscellaneous. Interest and investment income continues to be favorable. And overall, we were closer to budget this month than we often are, but still favorable. And I think that, with the one-time expenses, particularly the 15,000, we'll go back and end up favorable through the rest of the year. Any questions on revenue and expense? So on the balance sheet, I always like when line one is as small as possible, and it has been running, small, which means that we're investing the money in short-term investments. Prepaid expenses, I should probably update it and say prepaid expenses and other, but that has gone up, and I explained Tuesday night that a lot of the difference is that we changed health insurance plans, I believe, in December-ish. And usually we pay for health insurance a month before, so we pay it before the beginning of the month. And there was slight lags in paying for December. Whereas by the end of January, we had prepaid, we have $37,000 in prepaid health insurance expenses sitting in the 107. Along with that, we also have prepaid insurance of about 21,000. We pay for it usually in June, and it goes down over the year. We also have prepaid, we put in prepaid a fairly large expense for the RFID and some other software. And we have about 24,000 in there right now. That we paid for it in December, and then we'll amortize it through when it applies to, which is January through December. And we also have about $24,000 in accrued interest. We're doing a good job of keeping track of interest now. Before, we kind of just would record the CD interest when we got it. So there was always a lag, and it was always off a bit. So I think this gives a better reflection of what we're doing. And the rest of the balance sheet, I don't think there's anything particularly unusual on it. Any questions about the balance sheet? I guess we should look at the check register. I can't remember from our discussion if there were any different things that we had looked at Tuesday night.
We all have the check register in our packet.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Do we want to pause on this and come back to it? Can we print now?
I
or
can
should
go
we
print
just
them.
do 2
Yeah.
months next month?
all right, sorry about that.
You wanna?
Yeah, no, it was in the email. though.
It was.
Yeah.
What's in there?
Okay, and I'll just mention one thing on the investment report. So when I did the investment report this month, I noticed that there was a duplicate in our CDs, which I should have noticed probably a month or 2 ago. And unfortunately, I didn't notice it. When I prepared the investment report, I looked at the LPL statement, and we had 1,450,000 in CDs. And I guess I didn't consider that the CDs change from time to time, so I didn't pick up on the difference, but because we did have a duplicate of Wells Fargo, we did notify LPL and they liquidated that and are making another purchase. And we've also come up with a process. We talked about in the past that from time to time, LPL will invest in something and then it appears on the IntraFi report. And because we have the same investment through two different financial places, but in the same bank, it could exceed the FDIC limit. So Colleen put together some paperwork from IntraFi, which is NBT. And basically, each time we turn over CDs at LPL, we'll just tell NBT, there's a process that you can block certain investments. So we'll say, don't invest in Wells Fargo Bank and Morgan Stanley and whatever we have. And then as it changes, we'll just update that to avoid any possibility of an overlapping. And it's not, these are all great. I think they're good financial institutions or we wouldn't be investing in them. So it's not like a terribly bad thing, except we shouldn't exceed the FDIC limit, but I'll do better in the future, hopefully.
No, is that our responsibility to manage that? The bank's responsibility?
It's funny. So the bank basically said, whoa, the last time we saw that we had a duplicate investment was like 15 years ago or something. So I guess ultimately it's probably the treasurer's responsibility to make sure we don't do it. But, I think when we buy it, we'll just be more cautious. And I think, ultimately we should have caught it on the review.
Wells Fargo is not going under anytime soon, I think.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think, and somebody pointed out if something like that ever did happen, we'd have bigger problems than that. I mean, that would just be catastrophic and everything. But it's still, we have a policy and we try to follow it as much as we can. So I think that's it. The IntraFi accounts are at 3.50. I happened to look up to see what they were historically, and last June 2025, they were running about 4.05. So they've dropped about just half a percentage, and there's been some drops in the federal rate. So I think that contributed to that. And a year before, it was about 5.15. So we're definitely on a downward trend. But I think we were very lucky. When it went up, I think we really took advantage of it and moved a lot of things out of non-interest bearing accounts into accounts where we would get interest, which is what we were supposed to do. So that was a good thing. So that's my confession on the investment report.
You're doing a great job. If you would like to go over the director's report
Yeah.
just before we get copies of the check register.
Yeah, we can circle back to that, right? So be happy to do that. So relatively short report from me this month, not because there wasn't a lot going on, but because so much of it's going to be covered by committee reports. So I don't waste everyone's time to hear about it twice. So one thing I do really want to highlight is that not only do we have our budget work this year, but we do have our prep work for board trustee elections, which will be in May. We have 2 seats that are open. The packets are mostly available. The packets include the petition for if anyone wants to run, they have to get a certain number of signatures. I'm waiting for the school to correct one typo, and then the packets will be ready to pick up. Anyone interested in running, incumbents and anybody from the public, they can pick up packets at the library or at the school. So that's how the election is shaping up. And yeah, we are on time with the budget. We'll have our initial discussion tonight. As long as we vote at next month's meeting. We are on schedule. Other important things coming up, we have scheduled our next book sale, April 17th through the 19th. I will be darkening your doors to ask you to volunteer at not only the book sale, but also for our book donation process. Book donations start this weekend on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah, I will be here, so if you want to come say hi, I'll be here Saturday morning. We did really well last year with the book sale, did better than I could have hoped for. I'm hoping, lightning strikes twice. Amy has been working incredibly hard on doing our book sale, not just this year, but last year as well. We've also had a tremendous volunteer response. Do you have a sense of all of our slots are full, right?
Almost, yeah, we have almost all the volunteer slots for the donations are almost full. We did put a call out on the webpage for more people, which we're hoping to transfer over to our friends group. And it's going very smoothly right now.
So we will keep it that way. Otherwise, thank you for everyone who came, did a one-on-one meeting with me over the past month. I really appreciate you taking the extra time, getting to know everyone a little bit, getting to talk about library business and library scheduling. I'm really pleased with some of the new initiatives we've been working on. Our weekend story times are a huge success. Thank you to Natalie for spearheading that project, but thank you to the entire team for pulling that off. It's just amazing. Like the parents and caregivers who've come up to me and said, I've never been able to bring my child to story time because you don't do them on the weekends, and now I can. Like, it's really rewarding to hear that. It makes it all, worth doing. We have amazing story times in general. I would put us on the same echelon as any of our peers in the area. So we're just making it available to more people, and it's going really well. So I am absolutely chuffed with that. So like I said, relatively short presentation from me this week. Any questions about anything either in the director's report or elsewhere that I included? Awesome. Thanks, Cory.
Hey, George, you want to circle back to the check register?
Okay, so we have the check register from January 10th to February 25th, which is probably longer than usual because the meeting was so early last month and so late this month. And I guess there's a lot of health insurance invoices, but I guess I didn't see anything that just jumped out at me. Unless somebody remembers something from Tuesday night, but
I think we had nothing about on Tuesday.
it was unremarkable. It's like,
So can we get a motion to approve the check register from January 10th to February 25th? All right, Mike Ralchuk, and I see Bill over here for a second, so. Any follow-up in that 20 seconds you had to look? Questions for George? Okay, all in favor of approving the check register? Wonderful. Approved. Then we are on to committee reports. Finance, Tony.
Yes, we met twice this month, both this past Tuesday and the Tuesday before that. We're gonna do the budget in new business, or we're gonna do it now?
We have a new business.
We have it in new business. Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically it was putting together, just reviewing the budget essentially. George and Colleen and Pete did all the heavy lifting again. Initially thought it was gonna be much more difficult than what it was, but it turned out that it actually was not. And then I guess that's it. So we'll present the budget in the new business, the plan that will approve it. The finance committee will then bring it to the board in March. We'll approve it, bring it to the board in March so that it's approved, and then we can have it for April. So that is the plan right now. And I guess that's about it.
So just to move us forward, maybe if it's possible, if there's questions, could we direct them to the finance committee or encourage people to attend the finance committee meeting before the March meeting to get that stuff cleared up?
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Because we're hoping to vote at
Yes,
the March.
in
meeting.
March.
Yeah.
So I have perused it, but I have not taken a solid read. So maybe if we have questions in advance, we can direct them to Tony and the rest of the finance committee or head to that meeting. Anything else?
No, that's it. I guess we'll Anything else, we'll talk about the budget and the new business then.
Oh, I'm sorry, Barbara. You're
You're
muted.
muted.
Up at the top, you can ask
You're-
to unmute.
You're muted, Barb. Can't hear you.
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Have a few questions that they can answer in the committee. Professional fees up about 18%. Cyber insurance up about 70%, and I'm sure that's market prices. Fees for copy services as our income, 60%. Are we changing the amount or are people copying more? Professional, the payroll service is up 25%. And I'm assuming that's by contract, but so we're getting a lot more for our money, I'm assuming. Circulation supplies up 133%. And is that the RIF files or whatever? Telephone up about 40%, HR services up 85%, staff recruiting up 120%. And is that because we're expecting turnover? But as I said, those are just some questions that I had, and they can reflect on those, and I'll try to tune into the finance committee meeting. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Barbara.
Thanks, Barbara. Did we capture those for that? Okay, perfect. Okay, so that will be something for discussion at the next finance committee meeting, that we can get those questions answered. Alicia's not here. Is there anyone else from personnel? Did personnel meet?
Personnel did not.
Personnel did not meet. Bill, do you want to mention anything from facilities?
We're either gonna punt it back to Pete. Or punt it till next month. So, like punting shoes on it. The skylight leak in the children's room, we're starting to hear from the contractor that put that in as to what might have caused that, so we can assess it, but for the most part, it's been tidied up to the point that nobody would recognize it. They did a mold inspection and that turned up negative. So we're good to go on that. We can find out exactly why that happened and what we need to do to avoid it happening again. The great room skylight, just yesterday, we did get the proposal in from BRM and the company, the contractor that they've been working with. It's in an envelope, price-wise, that is what our expectation might have been around that, but we don't know any of the details of it. They're gonna come to the meeting next week and give us more details on what that skylight proposal will involve. So more on that at the next meeting. Mercy Care Lane, we're still waiting to find out the ownership, and that's in the discussion with the town supervisor. Any?
No, the town supervisor is unfortunately out of the office this week. So he referred me back to his superintendent.
So, I mean, they're still plowing out there, so we've got time to work on that. Nobody's gonna do anything on the road while it's still frozen and under the snow. But hopefully we'll get that ownership uncovered, and then we'll be able to know who's in it with us to try and figure out what we need to do to get that transitioned over to the town. Pete had engaged BRM to look at doing a facility study for us. They came back with a proposal of 2 different pieces, both priced separately. One for the envelope building, the hardware that's inside of it, giving us a view as to what it all involved and the condition that it's in and what the replacement on it might be. That came in just before the facilities meeting that we had, so most of the members had time to read it. So we'll be discussing that in more detail in the meeting next week as well. The other part of it is how do we use the facility? They came up with proposals on what it would take for them to get us help on that, but we're still thinking about that one. And then the last was, with the changing weather that we've had, the extended cold, the building's reacting in ways that we haven't had experience with because we haven't had extended colds like this, but we did have a pipe break in one of which.
Fort Hunter.
Fort Hunter, yeah. Which was a surprise when it happened, but Jason was able to clean it up relatively quickly, sort of assessed that it might be just where the pipe, the permafrost in the upper level of the ground outside just probably froze the water in the pipe, and then that caused a blockage that caused it to back up with the melting snow, and the two things ran into each other and burst through one of the seals in the pipe, and that's probably what explains that one. But we'll see if the facility study that BRM will come up with will give us hints on that nature going forward. But it wasn't a major thing. We were able to get it under control relatively quickly within a little bit of maintenance specialty. So that's all we have for this week. But we'll have those big discussions next week at our meeting. So more on that at the next March meeting of the board. So
And Mike, the governance meeting?
Yes, governance met back on the 5th. We discussed the new employee handbook, which is going to be presented in new business. So we had a little feedback on that, and that was the first item. We also had some discussion of a new policy that's been proposed that would cover. It'd be a policy about photos and videos, like for when the library takes pictures of events to post on social media and things like that. Bethlehem has a policy that we looked at. We've been working on one. And so we had some discussion. That's still a work in progress. And then the last thing we did was, I had mentioned this previously, that we're starting a review of the bylaws just to kind of see if they need any updating or revision or anything. And we kind of started that process and worked through it, but that's, we're going to pick that up again at the next month's meeting. So that's it.
Long-range planning did not meet, but we have completed the process of soliciting feedback from staff and community members through focus groups and the survey. So we are meeting this coming Tuesday, to get started on taking all of that feedback and actually putting it in an implementable plan. So you're welcome to join us. Bethany, do you have anything from board development?
We did not meet, but I've gotten some feedback on the draft policy for the training hours. So I'm going to be bringing that to governance for their March meeting. There is just in case anyone needs training hours, there's that core training, which I know some folks have taken before, but it's available next Wednesday, March 4th, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. It's online, and it will map your hours out for the year. So if anyone can't find the link or anything and wants to email me, I can send you the info.
Thank you. Alicia's not here. Do you happen to know if the foundation?
Motion did not meet.
Okay, great. Upper Hudson is sort of business as usual, so I don't have anything spectacular to report from there. Any other committees that we missed? We do have one piece of old business that Pete presented last time, so I'll go ahead and turn it back over to him to talk about the snow removal MOA.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey. So I included a hard copy in your board packets. Barbara, it's unchanged from the copy that we shared last time, but I wanted to give you guys something to reference. So to recap where we were, the purpose of this MOA was when we have a snow event, we want the team to have the flexibility, the maintenance team specifically, to have the flexibility of if we're closed on a Monday and we're trying to open on a Tuesday, if they want to come in and clean up on Monday, that's the purpose of this MOA. Typically, when we are closed for snow by union contract, union employees do not work. They do not report to work because we're closed. So the union recognized that there is a value in having staff available to come in and clean up before the morning we're trying to open. But they did want there to be a pay differential for employees coming in to do that work. And that's what the MOA outlines. We had a couple of good questions at the last meeting about how specifically how this would stack. So if someone is already getting paid for a building closure and then they come in to do snow removal, do they get paid for both of those things? Or if someone is approaching overtime, they're almost at 40 hours and working for the snow removal would push them into overtime, how would the pay differential stack? So I reached out to the CSEA representative and our legal team and asked the two of them to coordinate and to clarify that in the MOA. I'm still waiting on a cleaned up version of the MOA. The intention, what we're trying to accomplish, would be that the payment types would not stack. So for example, if we are closed on a Monday and an employee is getting 7.5 hours of building closure time and they come in to clean for 2 hours, they would get 2 hours at the snow removal rate, 5.5 hours at the closure rate. So it's not stacking. In terms of overtime, I think the only way around that is we as supervisors and administrators would just have to keep an eye on our team's timesheets. If somebody is in danger of going into overtime, maybe they're not the person who comes in to do snow removal. Maybe it's someone else on the team. Or maybe we just say, we're gonna push snow removal to, the next day to avoid overtime. So recognizing that we are waiting for a cleaned up version of the MOA and also recognizing that winter is hopefully almost over, maybe this is a moot point for the rest of the year. I guess, Corey, I might defer to you a little bit for what the board action would be. I don't know if we can get this referred back to maybe the personnel committee or.
Good question. I think because this is in CSEA language, I think that it could go back to the personnel committee. Are there concerns about it going in that pathway? You're just talking about so it can get approved?
Yeah, I think that since it's not ready for approval at this meeting, I think the pathway would have to be personnel. Maybe if we authorize personnel to approve it when it's ready, or I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Can you clarify, so what's the pay rate for if they come in for the 2 hours of snow removal?
So it is 2 hours minimum, so that if we call them in, they have to get 2 hours of pay at that rate. And it is 1.5 times employee regular salary.
Okay. All right, yeah, I'm just curious, so you're waiting to hear back from them on the issue of stacking?
Yes.
Yeah, because it seems if they're getting paid at normal rate for a snow closure, then that's saying, well, if you're gonna come in for these 2 hours, you're only getting basically half pay for those hours versus just staying home and not doing anything.
Right.
So it strikes me they may not be willing to agree to that for that, because it's actually, they're getting,
It has to be a benefit that makes it worth it.
worth them to
Give
come
up.
in,
Yeah.
to give up just having the day off and not coming in at all. So, but that's, that's for,
Right.
to be worked out, yeah. Okay.
So we can throw it back to personnel. The next full board meeting is only 3 weeks away.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
we might be able to get it ready for them.
Or at that point, we could defer it to personnel.
Sure.
Does that work?
I
You
so.
think yeah, okay, okay. Is anyone uncomfortable with that? No, we will see if it's ready for us, the actual language next time, and if not, we'll move it on to personnel.
Unfortunately, I had hoped to have it cleared up
Yeah,
by this weekend.
yep.
So.
Is there any other old business? We have a whopping 4 pieces of new business. Noticed in the packet, there was a Friends Group letter of recognition. I also noticed that we have a somewhat familiar, but perhaps new face sitting over here. Are you presenting this?
I am going to say that, yes, we have invited a member of our prospective Friends Group to come and talk a little bit about starting a Friends Group. And yes, in your packet, there is a letter requesting recognition of a Friends Group, which is the first step creating. So with all that said, please introduce yourself and.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Lauren Fisher. I've lived in Guilderland for the past 11 years. Prior to that, I born and raised in Colony and developed a love for the library at the Colony Library. And since moving to Guilderland, have been happier actually at this library than I ever was at Colony. So over the past year and a half, Pete and Amy have given opportunities to volunteer at various events that the library is hosting. And there's a core group of us between like 8 and 10 people that, we've kind of seen consistently at different events. And we have come together in hopes of reestablishing the Friends group. I am aware that the Friends group previously existed. We're not really sure when it fell off or kind of why it fell off. But we are hoping to reestablish it and help continue the mission of the library, continue community outreach, engagement with the community, and hopefully, if approved, the book sale would be one of our big tasks that we can take off of Pete and Amy's plate starting next year. So, we're really excited. All of us are Guilderland residents that have offered to be part of the executive committee to get it up and running. Another thing we're doing is talking to the Friends group at other libraries in the area, just to understand kind of their pain points or suggestions. And we've learned that the Schenectady Library has one of the largest Friends group in the nation. I think they have like thousands of members, which, we would be really happy with even like 100, right, to start. But there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of excitement from the group of us. So, any questions or comments?
It's incredibly exciting. Thank you for stepping up. Yeah.
I I think it's fantastic. I'm very happy about it. I just had one question. I know that in the past, we had volunteers that helped out with various library things. I wondered if any of the kind of regular volunteers have already become involved in this Friends group. And so, okay.
Yeah.
Just that,
Yep.
okay. That it's not going to be kind of stepping on the toes of the existing volunteers, but that's perfect. Great, right.
Yeah, Barbara, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a very warm welcome. It's a delight to see this reformation and a contribution. Thank you so much for stepping up.
Thank you. Any other questions for Lauren? What we're seeking to do here is to get recognition from the board and support the Friends group's startup. So we would just want to have a motion to recognize an official Friends group with this original executive committee in place. Bethany, I saw her hand pop up very first, and Joe's right behind you, so we'll take you for the sec. Everyone was so excited to support you. Any other comments or questions before? Yeah.
I have a question. My wife is on this committee. Do I need to abstain from this vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no monetary value in this, so fantastic.
Power.
Say thanks to your wife. Okay, all in favor of recognizing the official launch of the Friends group? Hey, wonderful, unanimous.
Yeah.
And Lauren, just I'll connect with you, but let us know what you need as board support, if you want a formal liaison, how you want to do
Yeah,
that. And
absolutely.
we'll get everything set.
Sounds
So,
great. Thanks
very
so much.
exciting.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Juan.
Yes. Hey. Our next point of business was mentioned earlier, and that's the preliminary budget discussion for the vote in March. And who is tackling this?
I'll start out with that. I'm sure I have to defer to Pete or Colleen. So essentially, the path was the same as we had done in the year previous, where George and Pete and Colleen had several meetings prior to bringing it to us 2 meetings ago. And we essentially we did go through line by line and adjusted different budget line items. We rolled a few of them together, which probably accounts for some of Barb's questions. One of the questions that we can easily answer as far as the professional fees, why it jumped up so much. The large chunk of money in that, I had the old budget. I'm assuming you put it in the new one already, the one I went out.
Yeah.
The 21,000 that's in there
Yeah.
is the study for the building envelope that we are going to talk about at facilities and then hopefully get approved. But it's a study of everything that's going on in the building to make sure that we can stay ahead of stuff before it breaks down, as opposed to playing catch up, which is what we had been. So that was put into the professional fees as opposed to maintenance and repair, which is where we had it earlier. So that accounts for a large part of that jump. The rest of the the budget line items, most of them are just normal increases associated with, I don't know, any normal increase over the past year or so. We know health insurance jumped up, like Jordan talked about. Our payroll, we're down 2 positions, right?
Few positions from the
Which-
admin suite, yeah.
May or may not get filled, so otherwise, it's fairly transparent. If there's anything else you want to jump in with, Pete, I mean, it's hopefully people have had some time to review it. I know it just went out on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have questions, just come to the next meeting too, or if there's anything overt, feel free to ask now that we can answer quickly.
In terms of process of how we put together the budget, often one of the first things that, George, Colleen and I look at is we look at what we spent so far this year and then we kind of project. So most of the budget lines are close to actuals, like they run, everything runs pretty close. When you're looking at some of our smaller budget lines, like that's not a big deal. If we're spending, $40,000 on materials and we adjust that to closer to actuals, it moves up and down a few $1,000s. Not really anything terribly noticeable. The largest chunk of our budget, this is not surprising for any nonprofit, is salaries and benefits. That's going to be true for any library, any nonprofit. That's where it gets a little bit tricky, that we have our salary budget running close to actuals, which you don't like to assume turnover. There's always the potential for turnover. The 2 years that I've been here, there's always been some amount of cost savings because someone leaves, it takes us a month to hire the replacement. That salary's not being spent in that, intervening month. But you can't assume that. So everyone might stay. We might do such a great job that no one wants to leave, and we're running really close to actuals. When we do that, the thing that makes me nervous, of course, is that it doesn't leave us a lot of room to grow. It doesn't leave us a lot of room to experiment. So that's the one area that when we put together the budget, it's the largest budget line, and that's the one that I spend the most of my time thinking about. So some of the other smaller budget lines, they just make less of an impact.
We're asking for the cap again, the max.
Yep, we were asking for full tax cap.
And just on the salaries issue that Pete was talking about, if you look at last year's budget and this year's, the salaries is actually slightly down budgeted from last year because there's a couple openings that are not being filled immediately. But if you look at the benefits, that's up like crazy. I presumably it's health insurance and retirement. Yeah, retirement. Yeah.
Barbara?
Just the question that I asked earlier, the HR services up about 85% and staff retention, recruitment, I should say, 120%. Is there a reason for that huge jump or not?
So staff recruitment, that one is typically for like background checks and things that we have to do before we hire people. Colleen, do you have any thoughts on why that one's up a little bit?
I'm assuming it's because you've done more background checks. We've had more movement. I don't know how much you had the past year, but I think that's really what goes in that line.
Yeah, it's pretty much the only thing that goes in that line. And Barbara, what was the first one you had a question about?
The HR services up 85%.
Thoughts on that one, Colleen?
Put it in there. Is that Paycom?
I think that
Or maybe that might be under technology software. I have to look at that, but I can bring it to the next meeting.
we will dig into that one and bring it back to you, Barbara.
Thank you.
Any other questions that people have about the budget now? Do you know what that is, George?
Well, I know that HR services is that 1860 in the capital EAP. Did we always had an EAP program or was that new?
No, we've always had.
We've always had it, and it's some flex fees. But I did look at that today, but we could see why it's up a little bit from prior years if we look at the history. Sometimes the numbers are skewed a little bit, and when we put it together, I guess, there's a science to it, and then there's kind of almost an art form. Not that I want you to think that accountants are, have anything beyond bean counting. But, we try to look at the history, and you look at the budget, and sometimes in the past, when you look at some of the numbers, like fees for copy services last year were 17,000. We had 2,000 in the budget. And so sometimes when you look at budget to budget, it's really skewed, but we try to look at, actual to actual, and we try to look at what's in there and exclude some of the, maybe one-time items and everything. So, and I think that at the next meeting, we can go over more detail and everything if people want to go through that.
Barbara, did you have one more question?
One more. The telephone, did we change carriers? It's up about 43%.
So that was a little bit misleading because it's listed as telephone, but it's telephones, internet, and was there something else in there, Colleen?
Just telecommunications.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a misnomer. It's not like we're making a bunch of collect calls here and running up the rates. But yeah, it's carrier fees. It's an increase to the rate carrier.
Thank you.
Yep.
There's no other questions. Again, I'd encourage folks to come to the next finance committee meeting. I'm gonna try really hard to make it. The budget is obviously one of the most important things that the board does every year. To keep track of our financial accountability. So, the last item for new business is Employee Appreciation Day, which looks like is coming up here March 6th.
The Sunshine Committee asked me to bring to the board. Traditionally, the board has supplied snacks for Staff Appreciation Day. And if we would like to do so again this year, would be much appreciated. It is next week. So I believe that we have done a couple of things in the past, and I'm pretty sure that Elise took the lead on this and she's not here tonight. So trying my best to remember, but I believe that someone gathered money and went shopping and purchased snacks and brought them in. What day was that? Friday?
Friday.
Because Alicia's not here, I know she would happily volunteer, but because she is not here, please let me know. I will take the collection and shop and drop off snacks unless people don't want to support. I think we want to support our staff appreciation. So let me know if you're open to contributing something, and I will gather that together. And if you want to participate in shopping, or if you want to do your own thing and bring something in, go ahead. But yes, Amy, I feel confident we don't need a vote to say.
We don't know, we're just like, oh, this is upon us once again. Yeah. It was kind of a surprise to us. We were
60 employees here, right?
61 if you include me. Yeah. I can also be appreciated.
We should appreciate Pete and give him snacks.
And I'll hang around for a few minutes afterwards if there's any questions or anything you have. So, thank you, Amy, for bringing that to us.
Employee handbook.
Oh, sorry, I jumped to the exciting thing.
Yeah.
Apologies, I skipped the presentation of the employee handbook for vote in March. Is that, or Mike, are you discussing that, or is that?
Who's?
I can take the lead on that.
Yeah,
Natalie, I might defer to you to a little bit. Kind of just to talk generally about our employee handbook. So, it's been a little while since we did a revision. Natalie has been working tirelessly along with Allison from HR on a new handbook. It's gone through multiple reviews from our legal team and multiple governance committee.
Yes. Yeah, I think we had two. When we first introduced it, and then we had a second one going over.
Yeah.
So we incorporated a lot of feedback from the governance committee. We incorporated changes that we've kind of been making notes on the old employee handbook as time went on, like, okay, we have to revise that, we have to review this. And then, yeah, really thorough vetting from Erin Morris at Gervin and Ferlazzo, which we are very grateful for. She had a lot of good insight and a lot of good recommendations. It is a big document. It is a bear to read. So that is why this is a presentation, so to speak, but really we're giving it to you, and then everyone kind of gets a month to review it. And then next month we can discuss and vote. That would be great for us if we could get that, if that schedule works for everyone.
So two big asks outside of the board meeting, just meetings this month, is to review the employee handbook and also the budget.
And if anyone has any questions, because of the way we're structured, we are a civil service library. We are also a union library. So think of it as a haberdashery where we just have hats on top of hats on top of hats. So if anyone has questions about the handbook or would like to view our CSEA contracts, would like to view any of our civil service specs, reach out to me. I'll be happy to give you that additional content. Kind of the way it works is, there's law, then there's contract, then there's handbook. So it's the things that supersede each other. So that might be if you're reading the handbook and you're like, why does it cover X? It might be superseded by something else. But yeah, if you need any help navigating any of that, Natalie has become an expert in the handbook, and I will ask her lots of questions if you ask me. So
Take it that the CSEA and the union people that are involved in the employees have been working with you to go over that? Or?
No, we work with our lawyer on that. And if there's anything that comes up, then Aaron would reach out to Eric.
yeah, that kind of conversation would happen on Aaron's level.
So, to the employees, I mean, we're giving them this handbook and saying this is it, right? I mean, it's based upon your contracts and the law, but here's how we run the library.
Correct. Yep. The things that are not covered by the law or the contract are covered by the handbook. And obviously we're open. Like we've taken feedback from staff on things like dress codes and, building closures. So we have an open door policy that if there's something in the handbook that the union or just individual staff members have questions about, we talk that through with them.
And to your point, like it has been 10 years since the last handbook was reviewed. So this is a complete overhaul. So what we would like to do going forward is, not to push it off to the governance committee, but to push it off to the governance committee. We kind of want it to be like a bylaw review. So every year, if there's something that comes up, we want the committee to review it. So we have an up-to-date handbook.
And hopefully that will be easier than doing a once a decade full revision.
Yeah. Are there other questions about this for the time being? So I think Pete sent that today, right? So, okay, so you've got a few weeks to review and then we'll discuss it in March. Is there any other new business that we have? Okay, do we have any public input? Okay, we do not. Do we have any board comments? Is there anything that anyone on the board would like to share? Okay, if not, I will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Joe, thank you. Is there a second to adjourn this meeting? Okay, thanks, Matt. All in favor? Okay, 6:54, I think. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Hi, Barbara.
Chicken.
I was worried, I was wondering.